You have a great new piece in the New York Amsterdam News talking about a clean elections bill that I think is it currently in the New York State Legislature, I think.
It is.
Yeah, I'd love you to just talk what's in that bill, why is it important, what's that about?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a chance here in New York. I'm in New York to have to be the first state post Citizens United to pass really fundamental, transformational campaign finance reform. And this bill that's currently being considered by the state legislature and is backed at least nominally by Governor Cuomo. Would do a few things. One, it would lower the sort of sky-high contribution limits that the finance system currently has in Albany. Most importantly, it would match donations, private small dollar donations, up to 6 to 1, which is basically replicating the New York City system. And so it means in practicality that instead of going to those $500 plate fundraisers, um, candidates for office in Albany would be door knocking in their neighborhoods, listening to the concerns of their actual constituents, getting small dollar donations, and having them match so that they meant that a $50 donation meant hundreds of dollars to them. And we've seen that at the city level, with the same kind of public match, the donations in neighborhoods like Bedford-Stuyvesant, the Bronx, Harlem, the South Bronx, Chinatown, where they're more working class neighborhoods, are multiple times, often as much as 24 times more important to the city council representatives of those neighborhoods than those donations are to the state legislative council,
Hmm.
to the state legislators in those neighborhoods, because state legislators are still working under that broken system. So
Right.
it's something that could be a real game changer, is completely constitutional under the court's sort of current jurisprudence, and would really diversify the donor base as well as potentially who can run. Right? You don't have to be a millionaire or know a millionaire to run if you have publicly financed elections. So basically, between now and the end of the session in Albany early this summer, there's got to be a lot of pressure put on state legislators and on Cuomo to make good on this promise.
Yeah, no, and so just really in terms of the calling your representatives, having a very kind of active public voice in this, and this thing really does have a shot at passing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is something that, I mean, Governor Cuomo really prides himself on his efficacy, and he has put himself out here and saying he wants to be, the campaign finance reform governor and the first one after Citizens United. He's been doing lots of public statements about it. And so that means that basically if he hears from the people of New York and as well from, particularly from progressives across the country, that this is something that they're watching, um, it's it's going to mean he'll do what it takes to push it over the line. I mean, I think the governor is looking at 2016. He wants to have his bona fides. He pushed through gun control right after Newtown, and I think he's looking to make a name for himself on this issue. And I think he also recognizes, to be a little less cynical about it, that the system is broken and that Albany is one of the most dysfunctional legislatures in the country, and people are able to use sort of shell corporations to give $500,000 unrestricted gifts that get funneled to candidates, and that when it comes down to it, elected officials actually don't like to spend all their time fundraising. They would like to be freed from that. And we're about to release a report at Demos that looks at the experience of Connecticut, which
Yeah,
has a
I would
similar
love for
public
you to get into
financing
that. Yeah,
system.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Connecticut, after the governor was put in jail in 2008, they passed a public financing system that is similar to what's being proposed in New York. And what the Demos report authors saw when they did a bunch of interviews with different interest groups and public interest groups and legislators, current and former, from Connecticut, was that it was really a brand new kind of politics after public financing. Legislators listened a lot more to their constituents than they did to lobbyists. Lobbyists just didn't have the power that they had before under the broken system because they couldn't come with checks in one hand and a bill model legislation in the other.
Right.
And people really felt like there was sort of a change in the tenor of politics in Connecticut. And for what matters to me, the policies changed. You saw after 2008 policies that impact working and middle class families getting a fair hearing and in fact passing. We saw paid sick days. We saw an increase in the minimum wage. We saw an in-state DREAM Act. So these are a lot of things that when, as the Stack Deck report shows, when people who are the donor class are setting the agenda, where is the minimum wage and paid sick days going to be in the list of priorities? Not very high. But once you have a finance system that is actually relying on working and middle class donors, you see a difference in the policy.
Right. No, and the case of Connecticut. By the way, I just want to say the name of your piece in the New York Amsterdam News is "Let the People Pay the Piper," and the Connecticut example is really inspiring. I think also because Connecticut doesn't necessarily have the an image of a state like maybe Vermont or something of being kind of relatively small or clean or something. I mean, as you said, the governor went to jail. There's been a lot of issues in Connecticut. So if this has a serious impact in Connecticut, it's a really powerful model. And yeah, if you live outside of New York, Albany is pretty unbelievable, kind of notorious. So this could be a great testing ground for that as well. But I think what's the kind of really important takeaway, and maybe the way to kind of wrap this all together, is that there is the social issues. It's all interconnected, obviously, and the social issues are profoundly important and key, whether it's marriage equality or gun control or the environment. But there is this entire base of economic issues that really are going to the heart of really the future of whether we're going to continue to have mobility and kind of upward growth and people having an opportunity to go out and fulfill their potential, or even just have security and dignity as they retire and as they live their lives. And the disconnect between a donor class and those policies that affect people sort of being achieved are really, really vital. So that these kind of things like clean elections and stuff like that, they're not just sort of nice, good government issues. They really go to the heart of whether or not we're going to have policies passed and legislated that address the kind of core crisis facing middle class, working class people today.
That's exactly right. And I'll just leave you with this sort of killer fact.
Please.
From a Princeton political scientist, Larry Bartels. He ran the numbers and found that when the opinion of the working and middle class diverged from the sort of donor class, the elected officials' behavior so closely tracked with that of the donor class that, in fact, the bottom third of the income distribution had no apparent impact, zero, on the behavior of their elected officials.
Wow. So that's really disheartening, but the lesson and the place we can be optimistic about is that if we follow your lead and we pass clean elections and things like that, then we all can become the donor class and hopefully have a more responsive politics.